In the first part of this video series, we resurrected the continents, the flora and the fauna of the surface world, and in the end we also brought back the humans. Now, moving forward in the second part, we will guide and witness the growth of humanity. Enjoy it to the fullest. We awaken in Lhasa. As we saw in the previous scene, the hero died. Indeed, we truly died there and have been reborn as a true human. In Lhasa, the teachings of Buddhism are practiced. And since reincarnation is a major theme in Buddhism, this is the perfect place to represent our birth as a human. We are greeted by Lord Kumari, the leader of the people living here. He points out that we can no longer communicate with plants and animals. He seems to be aware of our rebirth, but is not surprised, as he is the leader of the people who follow Buddhism teachings. We also meet Meiho, who cannot find his granddaughter Meilin. Since Meilin obstructed Meiho, he is unable to find her. How she does this, we will get to shortly. She likes to play in the ruins of the city of Louran, located in the desert to the northeast. Since we have nothing else to do, we set out in search of Meilin and head to the Gobi Desert. Upon arriving, we immediately see a small child running away from us. We follow her and find ourselves in Louran. However, Louran does not appear to be a ruin as Meiho described, but a normal city in the desert. After the exhausting journey through the desert, we lay down to sleep. When we wake up, we are shocked to find that all inhabitants seem to have turned into zombies. Yomi notes that this is the true face of Louran, merely a mirage meant to lure visitors. We set out to find Meilin, which was the reason we came here. Using her scarf, we instruct her dog to search for her. When we find her, she starts crying because she's saddened by the death of her parents. Then a voice speaks to her. It is her mother, who all through death tells her daughter that she will soon be reborn and assures her that they will see each other again. If there is a strong connection and a person has not yet been reincarnated as another living being, that person can briefly communicate as a spirit with the world. Meilin then disappears. Meiho is already waiting outside and apologizes for his granddaughter's behavior. With Meilin's disappearance, the zombies in the city are also gone. This raises the question, what kind of power does Meilin have? Let's get into my interpretation of Meilin's power. Meilin is clearly a human and the granddaughter of Meiho. It seems she had parents who could communicate with her as souls from the afterlife. However, there's no other human, neither at this point nor in the future, who possesses any supernatural abilities. Meilin is the only exception, and her abilities are very similar to those of the dark side, as she can only create reflections and illusions. It is common for people who lose their parents early and experience early childhood trauma to develop a connection to the afterlife. In this case, Meilin's entire city was wiped out, representing a traumatic event. In this scenario, the afterlife represents the underworld, and perhaps attempts were made to manipulate Meilin from the underworld as a young, weak child and give her powers beyond those of all other humans. Who wants to manipulate Meilin? We will get into that when we put the whole story together. Before we go on, I would like to briefly discuss a popular scene in Louran with the knowledge of Meilin's power in mind. The scene where the zombies are talking to each other. Basically, they are just talking about how a stranger, which is us, is walking around beating up all the zombies. And that they should find us quickly. Yomi mentions that the residents probably don't realize they are zombies. Now, We know that the zombies don't even exist, but are merely illusions created by Mei Lin. This raises even more questions about why they have their own consciousness. I explain it by suggesting that the zombies within the illusion have managed to develop their own consciousness. They don't know they are an illusion and live their lives like any other living being. Today, there are even movies about artificial intelligence that don't even realize they are not real living beings. This might be one of the early approaches to such a thought experiment. Since we have now completed all our tasks here, we head to the city of Lhasa in the west. Here we are first confronted with a small example of human greed. In a hotel, we, as a trusting hero, are deceived and asked to pay an exorbitant amount for a certain service. Fortunately, we are rescued from this unpleasant situation by Lady Fida. Thanks to her abilities, we can now stay for free. As she leaves, she says something interesting. She has the feeling that she has met us somewhere before. We explore the area a bit and find Louis, who tells us about his interesting yet dark past. He once served the king, but eventually had enough of it. He is the reason why the villagers of an as yet unknown village perished. Although the king gave the order to kill, Louis provided the king with a protect bell, which serves as a compass through the otherwise impassable Northwester forest. He received this bell from someone in Spain. So far, so good. This is the part of the story that will determine everything that follows. But more on that when we learn more from the game. We soon head to the castle of Lhasa to participate in the selection process for the princess groom. In the waiting room we meet Void, an arrogant fellow who tells us that we have no chance of becoming the princess groom. When we meet the princess of Lhasa, Ark is shocked because she looks exactly like Elle, except for the hair color. Unlike our Elle, the princess doesn't speak due to a psychological problem. Our task is to get the princess to speak. If we manage to do that, we will be allowed to marry her. We remember Louis, who gave the king a bell to navigate to the Northwester forest. There, the order was given to kill all the villagers. That's where we want to go, so we need the bell from the king. Since he won't give it to us easily, we get help from a guy who brews a sleeping potion for us. We put the sleeping potion into the food and wait a bit. Then, in the king's chamber, we find the protector's bell. With the bell as our compass, we navigate through the Northwester forest and rescue Mei Lin, who claimed she followed us out of boredom. She joins us and we reach Stockholm. Once again, Ark is taken aback. Not only does the princess resemble Elle from the underworld, but Stockholm is an exact replica of his home, Quista in the underworld. We enter the room where the Elder resides and find a portrait of Princess Elle with her real family. Mei Lin suggests using her illusions to make these people appear before Elle, hoping it might cheer her up to see her parents. Returning to the castle with Mei Lin, we inform the king that we have found a way to help the princess. Eager to heal his daughter, he accompanies us with the princess, Overworld Elle, to Mei Lin's illusion. When Elle's parents appear, the king is shocked and admits that he ordered the massacre of the entire village, sparing only Elle. Emerging from the illusion, a few words finally escape Elle's lips. However, the king, visibly shaken, orders us out of the castle, instructing us to wait at the hotel. The village elder from Quista appears to us, stating that humanity still needs to grow and must be guided by geniuses. Following the elder's advice, we want to head south towards the port city of Litz. At the inn's reception, the kind lady informs us that the king has died and there are rumors he was murdered. Consequently, our chances of becoming the princess boom are dashed. In Litz, we encounter Void once again. I must admit, as a child I was convinced he killed the king and is now hiding here. Considering some reasons that we unfold later, I still think it's not entirely impossible. However, there's someone even more suspicious than our blue-haired rival. Void informs us that after the king's death the princess disappeared from the castle. This could be a diversion or a clue to the real culprit. In Litz, we also learn that the queen of this area went mad after losing her sons. So we decide to visit her castle. In the castle library, we find several interesting points related to the story, which aren't addressed elsewhere. Here, we learn about Columbus, who set sail for a new continent. Reluctantly, he took the 3 princes on board. After many years, Columbus returned from the voyage. On board were Columbus and some of his crew members, but none of the princes returned. This was the worst day for the queen. The queen blamed Columbus for the death of her children and imprisoned him. In the castle library, we find an interesting detail that I hadn't given much thought to before. The reason why Ark wields a spear. Most heroes carry a sword and maybe a shield. But Ark, the reviver of the world, carries a spear. The spear is the first weapon humans used, and technically, Ark is the first human on Earth. So it makes perfect sense for him to use a spear as a weapon. This fascinating piece of information is revealed simply by visiting the library. We continue exploring the castle. In the chambers, we witness a brief sequence where the queen cries out for her children, expressing her longing to have them back. Her desperate plea seems to echo throughout the entire castle. In the cellar, we encounter the imprisoned Columbus, the navigator responsible for the death of the princess. But before we can speak with him, we are brought directly into the area to face Bloody Mary, the queen of the castle. We fight her and release her soul. Back with Columbus, he tells us that he was wrongly imprisoned because the 3 princes died on the journey with him. But that's not the truth. He accepted the torture as restitution for his greed. He says he can't tell us the truth, but when the true hero is born, then he will reveal it. With Columbus, we return to Litz. After the exhausting adventure in the castle, we lay down and are awakened at night by Fida. She needs our help. Someone is attempting to assassinate Upper World L. Perhaps because she killed the king? So we help and accompany her to the new continent. While it's not new for us, it certainly is for the people from Europe. After we get ashore, the princess is gone. And we enter freedom and are greeted directly by Peril. He shows us his skills on the skateboard. With Peril, I feel like he's our first real buddy friend after Liam. He's just a cool guy. You can't help but like him. We are asked to tell the children in the orphanage, whom he looks after, about the continent we came from. When we are there, we found out that Anita is missing. She's looking for Will. While Peril wants to search for Anita, we are asked to keep looking around. We do just that and go quite far. We head all the way to Liotto and find our old friend Meilin there again. It seems she's been looking for us and she wants to stick by our side from now on. We arrive at a statue. It's believed that lovers who confessed their love to each other at this statue at night will find happiness. She tells us she will return to the statue at night, and we are supposed to tell her then whether we have feelings for the girl. She confesses her love to us, and we return to the statue at night to see what's going on. So we head to the statue at night and meet Elle, but not the princess. our L, the underworld L. It turns out this was just an illusion created by Mei Lin, who then storms off in a huff. What next? Oh, yes, Anita and Will are still missing. We decide to check the caverns near Near Lake and find Will there after defeating some starfish. Yes, the starfish are the boss enemies here. The large beast in the background even assists us in this battle when we are attacked. This situation teaches us that it's not always about appearances. Inner values matter too. Will tells us that the monster was also trying to protect him from the starfish. Will calls the creature the lake god. He ended up here because he was testing a flying machine that crashed into the Great Lakes, leaving him stranded. He wants to show us his airplane, but bad luck, he can't continue his work because a company in Yunkou has bought up all the metal. So off we go to Yunkou to have a word with the boss of this company, so we can get an airplane. In Yunkou, we first encounter Fida, who is bedridden with illness. The doctor can't help because he is out of ginseng, and the only man who used to sell it no longer does. The man agrees to provide the ginseng if we make a deal with him. We need to check on his younger brother, with whom he once ran the company. His brother is said to have hoarded all kinds of materials in Dragoon Castle. All kinds of materials? Perhaps this brother is also the one buying up all the metal. Great, we need to find him anyway. Lucky us, we receive the ginseng before searching for his brother and can heal Fida. In Fida's fever dream, we see her with the king in Stockholm. The king orders Fida to interrogate Elle's parents, the guardians of the treasure, to find out its location. If they refuse to reveal it, she is to kill them. They choose to give their lives rather than disclose the treasure's location. But knowing Fida's good heart, they ask her to take care of their child, Elle. This is why Fida has such a strong protective instinct towards Elle. Although she was the bodyguard on the king's order, she remains committed to keeping her promise to Elle's parents, even after the king's death. What kind of treasure could be so important that one would give their life and the life of the entire village to protect it? Fida needs some more rest, and we gladly let her have it. After all, we are headed to Dragoon Castle anyway. When we step outside, we find Peril. Hey, our cool friend from the other continent is here. Naturally, he wants to help us, since he's eager to assist Will in building his airplane. At the castle, Peril distracts the guard at the entrance for us, and we proceed inside. None of the guards should spot us, or we'll be thrown out. You might wonder why Ark, who has defeated countless monsters, doesn't just take out the guards. The reason is that Ark never harms humans or creatures of the light. He only fights monsters. No animal, no bird or human is ever harmed by Ark in the story. Ark resurrects the life and is not taking it. In a room in the castle we meet Elle, but again, it's not the princess, it's Underworld Elle. Wait a minute, doesn't it seem familiar? Of course, it's another illusion by Mei Lin, who has set a trap for us. She is still upset because we don't love her. And now, she is working for Mr. Wong. Hey, we were looking for him anyway. He is the younger brother of the guy who gave us the ginseng. In another part of the castle, we see Elle. This time, it's the overworld princess Elle. Mr. Wong approaches her, accompanied by Void. Wong knows that Elle killed the king and has been searching for her ever since. Here we learn that King Henry and Wong were in cahoots. This likely means that Wong is now after the treasure of Stockholm as well. Elle also wonders why Wong would be interested in the treasure of the small village. Wong has other matters to attend to, so he leaves the princess in Void's care. Back in the dungeon where Mei Lin locked us up, we hear a voice from above. It's Fida, who frees us from the cell. We continue searching the castle for Wong and Elle. In a library we find the princess, or so we think. It's yet another illusion created by Meilin. Fida rescues us from the illusion, gives Meilin a firm scolding and takes on disciplinary work that Meiho likely missed. Meilin starts crying and runs away. As we continue our search, we find Meilin again. She tried to escape, but the exit is blocked. Wong intends to bury us all in the room. Meilin, facing death, cries once more, realizing it's her own fault. But at the last second, Peril appears. Peril saves the day, rescuing us and the ladies. The group quickly flees the room. Finally, we find the real Princess Elle. But then Void appears. He wanted to see how strong we are. However, we would naturally lose this fight, since although he's our enemy, we could never harm him, as he is not a monster, but a being of the light. Fida saves us once again. Fida tells Void that she has seen him even before he appeared in the castle. After a conversation, Void is so impressed by Fida's loyalty to Elle and her determination to protect someone important that he no longer wants to fight against her and lets them go. Void returns to Wong and learns that Wong is working under the orders of Dr. Beruga in Mosque. That was all Void needed to know. Void tells Wong many of his friends died because of the scheme of Wong, the king and the mastermind Dr. Beruga. King Henry is dead. Now he needed the name of the person above Wong. Since he knows him, he no longer needs Wong and can continue his quest for revenge. Let's take a brief look at Void's backstory. Some years ago, the king and Wong, with their plans, killed Void's friends. Fida was also present at the time. Therefore, she knew she had seen Void before he appeared in the castle. Then he signed up to marry the princess, allegedly. Actually, he just wanted to get close to King Henry to get the name of the mastermind and ultimately exact his revenge on Henry. Next, we see him in the Northwest Forest, where he warns us. Perhaps he suspects that we have a plan to get the princess to talk and wants to use the plan for himself. When the king was killed by Elle, we briefly meet him again at the hotel in Litz. There he only points out that the princess disappeared after the king died, and now we meet him again at Yunkou, where he seems to be working for Wong. This is also only because he knows that Wong is in cahoots with the king, who was responsible for the murder of his friends. Now that he knows who is the head of this operation, he gets rid of Wong and can start searching for Dr. Beruga. That was the second part of our journey through Terranigma. We witnessed the growth of humanity, encountered good people and bad people, and some even became our friends. These will be a great help to us in the final part, in which we face Dr. Beruga, learn all about the mysterious treasure of Stockholm, and are betrayed by someone we trust. Until then, your Freizeit.